Morning guys, John here, getting back on this. Yesterday I got it so it would start. It started, it ran, it was a little clacky, then it cleared up, oil pressure was up, started it again, ran for a second, kind of stalled out. Not to the point now where it stalled, it doesn't start. It just flooded out. I mean, to the point where gas is coming out of the exhaust pipe. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I pulled a plug and it's all wet. I checked for spark on that one plug, hotter than blazes. They are all new plugs in there. I charged up my Autel MX808 and I've got that scanning right now. And it's looking for faults and it's finding them. This thing's got faults everywhere. The ABS is faulted, overhead console, body controller. Wow. This thing is a mess. She's charged. I'm gonna give it a whirl and see if it doesn't start. I mean, it might, right? So I give that a try, and if that don't work, looks like the whole front of the motor's coming off, because the only thing I can think of is a jump time. But I'm also gonna check all the codes and see what's going on with that. I read the code reader and the codes aren't all that horrific. It's just the intake air sensor, which I have unplugged because I have the resonator off the top of the motor. It's the fuel pump relay. It's showing that because I have that unplugged because I didn't want to dump in more fuel in it. And the other one is the low fan speed, which was kicking up. And I don't understand what that is because this does not have a fan control. So I don't know what that's about. I don't think that should be because of my start issue. I would hope not. Could be anything else kicking that up. Maybe I have a bad, faulty temperature sensor for the coolant temperature sensor or something like that screwed up. I don't know. I'll have to dig into that. I don't know. I just don't see how that would cause it to not start. So what I'm going to do is plug the resonator in. I'm going to leave the fuel pump relay unplugged for right now. I'm going to crank it over and see if I get any fire at all. Get rid of that code so the computer gets happy about that. I'm just going to try to crank it a little bit, see what happens. That is a whole new sound. Making some kind of funky puff noise. You know what that tells me? I think it jumped time. That's what I've been thinking all along. I was afraid of that. So I'm going to set you guys up back to listen back here, and then I'm going to play it back and see what it says. How's that for clever? Oh yeah. Always thinking. Where's that exhaust pipe? All right. So we're going to set this up right by the exhaust. It's like having a second guy helping me in the shop. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. And where is that exhaust? Right there. You guys are going to keep an eye on that for me? See what it sounds like, too. I just plugged in the fuel pump relay. Let's see what it does now. You know, the good old days, you had a distributor and you just, either you got spark or you don't. I've got spark. I don't know if it's at the right time. But I'm also looking at the cam crank sensor on the live data on the Autel MX808 shows me, that's just a scan tool, shows me that it's within 0.5. I'm imagining that's degrees. That's very close. I mean, that's right on. I got on the internet and just looked around and I'm seeing where, they could be out like low single digits, where 0.4, 0.5, that's pretty close. And it's not throwing that code. So I don't know. So I'm going to jam this in the ASD relay. I made this out of a piece of 10 gauge solid wire. I pounded it flat to make blades and filed it off a little bit. Let's see what it does. It just got the no gonna start scenario. Alright, so I could hear the fuel pump run that time because I had that relay in. I heard this relay click when it shut off. Well, my next thing I'm thinking about is I didn't change the fuel injectors. I don't know if the fuel injectors operate different between the JTEC and the NGC controller. I don't know. Supposedly this 4.7 was a 02, and I looked it up on Rock Auto and it's the same part number. So that's probably not the problem either. So I'm really getting to be at a loss here. I don't know where to go from here. I guess from here maybe what I do is I start pulling things apart. Like I'm gonna have to check the fuel pressure, see what's going on with that, see if it drops right off, see if I got a bad injector, That's just bleeding all the fuel out. I'm not getting fuel except maybe to one piston. That's very possible. Of course, we're still experiencing mass frustration trying to get this thing started. So it's not showing any codes except for that the cam difference is real tight. Connor, they said the cam difference could be in the low single digits, and I'm 0.5.
Yeah, so you're good.
Now Connor's working on his fun buggy.
Maybe you set it
the
too
Charger.
Accurate, you know?
Huh?
Maybe it's too accurate. You're too close.
I'm too close. The cam and the crank is too close?
It's supposed to be more wore out.
Yeah. The computer won't recognize it because it's not wore out enough. Anyway. Okay, so, but you're telling me what? You don't think it's spinning fast enough?
Yeah, I don't think it's spinning fast enough. I think you need a new starter.
Or
clean your connections.
The connections on it are real crappy.
Yeah, give that a go first. You don't got to take the starter out first.
Yeah, I could do that.
Clean the connections, see if it whips it over fast enough.
All right, makes sense.
Yep.
That's what I'll do. Connor's welding up his Charger, which is an awesome project. At least that's something worth working on. Not that. Anyway. I can't say that. That truck will be good. I'll get her done. We'll get her done. All right. So Connor does spin over 175 RPMs according to my my reader.
I don't think that's enough.
Oh yeah?
I can do that by hand.
177, 176.
You got a hot battery.
Yeah, the battery's brand new.
All the lights are bright.
Battery's brand new and it's fully charged. I mean oh yeah, the lights are real bright.
Yeah.
Well, it's up to 14 volts.
Your
so
starter's dying. I just had the same thing happen to me when I was working on my Ford. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get it started. I changed the ignition module, which I had to do anyways, you know, and it wasn't cranking very fast. I thought, man, my battery's done. I went through like 3 or 4 batteries. It's the same result as like the starter's bad. Changed the starter, fired right up.
Yeah.
It's not spinning fast enough.
Yeah. Okay, big question now is, can I get that nut off? Look at that thing. That is one corroded up mess. Hey, that's my problem. I clean that all up. Okay, so I just cleaned up that nasty connection. We're gonna try cranking this again. We'll see what the engine RPM comes up to. Oh, at the 203. 153, 167, 166. 176, 167. Huh. Well, that's just not, I don't think that's spinning fast enough. All right, go get a starter. Okay, just dropped the starter in it. Let's see what that says. $165. That's no better than the other starter. What is going on with this bad boy? It did bark through the carburetor, and when I spun it over for Connor, it shot a fireball at him. Oh, carburetor, through the throttle body. I don't know what's going on. Well, that came up dry, didn't it? Oh boy, guys, I really goofed this one up. Oh, I really screwed up. So I put that motor all back together, put it back in. The one thing I never did was torque down the bolt for the cam gear. Big mess. Finally figured out why it didn't start. I checked compression in one side, get 110, which is low. And on the other side, nothing. I mean, absolutely no compression. So what's that tell you? Something major going on, right? Probably valve, something going on. So I pull that valve cover off. I bump it by crossing the starter relay. And the motor spins, the cam gear spins with the cam chain, the timing chain, everything works. But the cam's not spinning. Which means, as these are a crasher motor, I've got bent valves. So at very least, I got to pull the head off, fix the valves, put it back together, and maybe this time tighten the bolt. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But you know what, I ain't going to whine about it. I'm just going to get in it, I'm going to dig into it and start working on it and do it. I don't know what else I can do, because I got this truck sitting here. It ain't doing me no good sitting there. I have to get it done. But it would have been nice if I had remembered that. Somehow I skipped it. I just plain skipped it. It happens. It just happens. So this is it down here, and it's buried in here because these cab forward design trucks, pain. Anyway, this bolt right here, that bolt, and that not being tight allowed the dowel pin, because there's a dowel, to shear off. I haven't taken it apart and seen it yet, but I know that's what happened, because this all spins, but the cam doesn't. So that's my problem. I guess I'm just gonna have to tear all this apart. So basically what I gotta do is pull the AC compressor off, Got to pull the intake manifold off, pull the head off, and everything associated with that and see what's going on. Maybe what I could do first though, just for the heck of it, is loosen up the cam, or at least just turn it to where I know both valves are closed and see if it holds compression or not. I could do that with an air compressor, put an air chuck on. I'll see if it's losing a bunch of air. You know, you'll hear it blowing out if the valves are bent. Maybe I got lucky and the valves aren't bent and I can just fix my cam and get it going again. That would be sweet, but somehow I doubt it. But maybe that's my starting point anyway. Of course, pulling the heads off, I think I got to pull the front of the motor off too. Whew, if I got to do all that, I might as well leave it in the truck. I was thinking about pulling the motor right out, but I don't think that'll help me all that much. I might as well leave it bolted in the truck because I'll probably pull the radiator, all that stuff out, and I can get right up front there. That means I can reach everything pretty good, and I'll be able to work on things fairly easy. It is what it is. We're just going to move forward. Sally forth. Okay, since I figure I got to pull that cam anyway, I'm going to pull the cam. I got to keep the timing chain in place, so I'm going to use this wedge, cram it down there between the timing chain to hold the chain in place and do all that. Then I'm going to put a mark on both the gear and the chain so I know where they go back, just in case. So I'm going to pull the cam out and I'm going to test the cylinders and see if they're holding air. What I've done is I put an adapter down the plug hole that I'm going to hook into it, and let's see if we hear air blowing through the valves. Oh, compressor kicked on. Okay, so the compressor just ran forever. Jeez. I hear a little air, but I don't hear a lot of air. I don't think I got a bent valve with that. Now I do hear a little air going through. I don't think it's much. And there's pressure held in the cylinder. So I think I'm okay with that. So now I'm going to unscrew this gizmo and put it in number 1 cylinder and see what happens there. But it definitely doesn't sound like a bent valve, because if it was bent valve, I mean it would just be blowing air out. Maybe this model year, this 02, is not a crasher. I think maybe the newer ones are probably crashers, but maybe this year is not. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, and it looks like that's going to be right in my way to put the air chuck on. Okay, I just checked the first 2. And when I put air into the number 1 cylinder here, the first cylinder, I rolled the motor backwards, which probably screwed up my timing chain. Ah! So now I don't dare do anything except for maybe put the cam back in and make sure I'm still good on that. I don't know. Put it back together and see if it starts. I'm not sure what to do. Put the cam in, tighten it up, put it all back together and see if it runs. Or check the other 2. I guess I could while I'm here, but the first 2 are okay. I'm gonna have a feeling that they're all gonna be okay, because I'm sure it would have clipped them all. Always these decisions, you know? And I don't want to halfway it. Anyway, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to see if it fires. I'm going to throw it back together. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Okay, virtually impossible to see my dowel. I got my sprocket lined up. I got my little marks there to the left. You can see them. They're just Sharpie marks, but they kept me lined up. You know, the cam turns and it kind of springs to the next location. So I'm having a bit of a problem with that. And honestly, I don't know where the dowel is. I can't see it. Is that it right there? I can't tell. Maybe it is. So I got to turn that cam a little bit more until I can see if I can get it to pop in. But it's not easy. Okay, this time I know I torqued that bolt to the 90 foot-pounds it's supposed to be at. These guys get 100 inch-pounds. And I got them all torqued down too. So put the plugs back in, put the coils back in, and probably what I'll do is I'll crank it. I want to crank it and see if this wobbles, because I don't want this to wobble. If this wobbles at all, I'm going to be getting a cam code, and I don't want that. So I think I'm going to just try to start it even before I put the valve cover on. Just fire it up quick. I don't want oil splashing everywhere, but just see if it does run, or see if it bangs, see what it does. Also, this thing worked like a charm. It's just a block of wood I cut. I happen to see this on Martin Built. He's a YouTube channel and he's always working on these 4.7s. He really got some really great tutorials. I'm not like a tutorial. I'm just a guy going through hell with this motor. But he does some good tutorials on there. But anyway, this worked good. Didn't have to spend any money on it. Pulled it right out. I didn't have to cram it in too tight. gonna take a look at that tone wheel and see if it rolls straight. So I'm gonna roll this motor over with the starter.
I got everything where it ought to be, I think, except for the valve cover. But we can live without that at the moment. All right, let's see what it does.
And then I'm gonna just jump the starter relay. You watching? Let's see what happens. Looked pretty straight, didn't it? You know what else? I don't hear any crazy bad valve sounds either. And my cam is spinning, right? Well guys, I think we try to give it a start and see what it does. It may start, I don't know. I'd like to see it start just for a second. And if it does, I'm gonna bolt on the valve cover, tighten things back up, and call her done. So I'm gonna put you guys over here. All right, let's see what it sounds like. See if it makes any sounds at all. Oh my gosh. What a journey. What a little trip this has been, okay. I don't know guys, making a funny noise like a boom 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 boom. I don't know if it's, probably does have bent valves. It just don't sound right. Seemed like it wanted to kick there for a second. Well, I'm gonna have to go back to scratching my head for a minute or two. Okay, so here's where we're at now. According to the code reader, I'm 117.6 degrees out of time from the cam to the crank, which means when I put the air in that one cylinder and pop the motor back on me, it must have jumped time. It must have jumped the sprocket on the internal sprocket. So, how do I time it? I guess I have to take the valve cover off to see where the time is. Or will the timing mark on the damper work? Is there a timing mark on the damper? I'm gonna find that out and I'll do that. Otherwise, I'm gonna pull the valve cover off on the other side, get it timed perfect, then time this one perfect and try it again. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm over 300 subscribers. Very exciting. So go ahead and like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one.